Hi everyone, today let's talk about the Tesla RoboTaxi reveal. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So shares cratered after the Tesla event, and you probably could have guessed that that was going to happen. It seems rare at this point where these kind of events actually stoke some gains from investors. Investors generally overestimate what they're going to get from the company, but we did get a new vehicle, so you got the Cyber Cab, a concept vehicle that's supposed to be available for under $30,000. I think most people were looking for a vehicle under $30,000, but they were mostly looking for a smaller compact vehicle that could be mass produced. I'm not sure that this is exactly what they meant, but they are looking for that fully autonomous driving future, which is what they presented. They think this is going to be available. And honestly, this image here is probably more like what we thought we were going to get, a smaller vehicle, something that you could commute regularly, not really the cyber van that we ended up seeing. And they said they hope to produce by 2027, and if you know anything about Elon, he is generally very late, so we'll probably see this in 2030. And he's also trying to get that unsupervised, fully self-driving running in Texas and California by next year. I think that's potentially feasible with the new developments in self-driving 12 and the AI version. Of course, there was a lot of hype going into the event, so that's why we're seeing the stock kind of deflate after this potential for a new future for Tesla. A lot of those future gains are built on this premise, and this was a little bit underwhelming in my opinion. And of course, none of this was near term except for those Model Y full self-driving in those limited areas. And you can see here, they say it's going to be years before we have a fleet of these types of vehicles on the road. Based on this presentation, it was overall disappointing. In the near term is just not going to happen. It's still a long ways out. And the question is, how long is that time scale going to be? Tesla, like I said, is notoriously late. And they also have to get that economy of scale to get something down to that $30,000 level. So that will also take more time. And basically, investors don't think that this is going to happen within this decade. Moving over to fear and greed, we did get up to a 74 from a 70, so we did see that kind of resumption here back into extreme greed on momentum. Strength and breadth really have not moved at all. We continue to see this very slight pullback, but no change on the metric. And then put call ratio pulling back slightly, back into regular greed. VIX continues to stay elevated. Interesting to see that. We'll look at it on the charts. And then safe haven demand, extreme greed, and junk bonds rolling down here into greed for the first time. So nearly every metric, just volatility hovering in neutral. Everything else is in greed or extreme greed. Moving over to the earnings calendar, we did get the start of earnings today. I should have forecasted this last week, but we did get the start here with JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, BlackRock. JP Morgan did really well. Wells Fargo missed on the top line, beat on the bottom. And then for next week, really, we start on Tuesday with United Health, J&J, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, United Airlines in there, Walgreens Boots Alliance. They've been struggling a lot, but we're starting off with those financials here to start off this earnings season. And then looking at the economic calendar here, PPI came in at expectations for the month-over-month core number. Headline came in below expectations, so that was better. 1-year inflation expectation stepped up to 2.9. Didn't really want to see that. 5 years still flat. Consumer expectations and sentiment also a little bit lower from Michigan University, so not super great data except for that PPI coming in a little better. Moving over to Max Pain, we did drift a little bit higher, 571, so continuing to drift towards that Max Pain number. Stock price was obviously way higher, 579.70. And again, these continue to look really bearish going into the next week to 2 weeks, but so far that hasn't really mattered a whole lot. You can see for today it was supposed to be about 1.5% lower, and markets continue to hold up well above that Max Pain number in the short term. Looking at the SPY here, we did get another continuation 0.6. We're above this trend line now. You can see we've had that a few times. We got it here on the 19th of September and then here on the 26th of September. And now you can see we're getting one more overthrow. We'll see if this gets any kind of continuation. If it does, I would look for a little bit more push here, maybe up into the 590s. And then I would expect this structure to break down. I've seen this before where you get a rising wedge like this. You get the breakout, fake out, and then the breakdown. And that's the actual move. Typically, this is a bearish pattern. It can continue higher, but usually I would look for that fake out. So we'll see how it plays over the next couple days to weeks. And then looking at the short time frames here on the hourly chart, you can see that initial push, very strong, got above the trend, tested it, got the continuation, falling a smidgen after hours, not a whole lot. Momentum fading a little bit after being a little bit overbought. You can see consolidation, breakout here, continuation. So everything continues to look a little bit bullish, getting the breakout of that level. Moving over to the NASDAQ, you can see we did get an update, 0.16. Momentum bullish, RSI still bullish, but we're still stuck at the high back here from the 26th. The high of day yesterday was all the way up at 494.47. The high of day today, 494.39. So still can't seem to get above this kind of resistance level we have in here at this previous high. Still looks good. Still could get the continuation from here. Still well above the trend line here, well above all the EMAs and SMAs. So still a bullish structure, but finding clear resistance here. Still not quite filling this gap back up to the low here of the candle at 496.34. And then looking at that short time frame here, you can see this kind of sideways consolidation. Couldn't break the lows from yesterday, couldn't break the highs from yesterday, still in the middle of the range. Momentum fading, RSI neutral here, pretty much right at the 50 line, sideways consolidation. Again, structure still bullish, still well above all the medium-term EMAs, 55 continuing to act as support at 491.29. Tested that on that 8 o'clock candle and then continued higher from there. So everything looks good. 492 is my level, but we've been chopping across that for 3 days in a row. So not sure how relevant that is, at least in the short term. 55 EMA continues to be more important. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, the Russell had a massive day, 2% higher, $4.41 higher, hit my level here, 221.49. Momentum swinging to bullish, RSI breaking out. So this is kind of what I thought was going to happen after hitting that support, closing on the high of the candle yesterday, continuing up to that next level is what I was hoping for. Once you got the break of 218.30, should have assumed that this was going to go pretty hard into that next level. Next behind it would be the trend up here around 223.15 or so, 223.25 right in there. Either way, this is a breakout of this kind of downward structure, looking for much more upside here, watching it closely. And then looking at the Dow, strong day there as well, 1% higher, broke through this level, 226.20. That was the all-time high back here from the 27th, so strong move up almost to the trend. The price target, if that 226 level broke, was up at 430, didn't quite get there. And then for the Monday, that would be up around 430.67, so we'll see if it can get the up there. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. Moving over to stocks that moved here today, we got Uber jumping 10.8% and SOFI finally getting that strong continuation. So Uber basically on the back of that so-called Tesla fail. I wouldn't call it a fail. I still think they're going to do all of the things. I think people thought it would be a little sooner potentially, but it's not going to be. So we got a huge gap through the all-time high level up at 80.50. Now we're pushing up to the trend lines here around $90. Uber on a run. It's been in a bullish structure here with a lower low here, but it rejected very powerfully back up to this level. And then we got the higher low, and then we got the higher high here. So everything continues to look bullish in the short term with Uber. And then SoFi still looking for this trend up here around $9.20. Strong push. Next level trend on the Monday will be up at $9.28. So momentum bullish, RSI bullish. Both of these look pretty good going into the Monday session. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft, you can see Apple falling 0.69, still in the same trading range. Really hasn't changed for quite a while. Got here originally on the 19th and we're still here on the 11th of October. So nearly a month in this trading range. And then looking at Microsoft, another test of the level at 413.36. So we're still consolidating here, probably a pullback in time after this down move. I do think it will eventually roll to the downside, but it has not broken yet, still holding this support. You can see I do have an alert here for once this breaks down. Didn't touch it today. I think it will go within the next week or so, in my opinion. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA. Tesla with the big drop, like we said, 8%. Ended up down 8.7%. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish, huge volume. It looked bearish after yesterday's. We thought we might get a continuation, but watching that level closely, and then we ended up gapping massively through it and falling. The actual session itself wasn't huge. The open was 220, and then the low from there was 217.80, so really only fell 1% during the session. Most of it was through the after hours yesterday and pre-market this morning, so not a huge amount of opportunity. Current support is 214. If that breaks, maybe 203 below. Definitely a change in structure with a much lower low here from this previous kind of consolidation low. And then looking at NVIDIA, tried to go a little bit higher. The high of day was higher than yesterday's, but we couldn't hold those gains and it ended up flat, down just 1 penny. Momentum stepping down a little bit. RSI not quite overbought. Still think this could go, but it's slowing down slightly. Moving over to Amazon and Alphabet, this was a nice setup here on Amazon. I was watching for the rejection off the 21 EMA, but it just did not work out that way. I was hoping for the gap fill, but we did push right to my level here, 180.61. Now we're looking for the continuation up to 191.64 if it can get that kind of a move. And then you got trend resistance above that around 192.50. So still bullish momentum, continuing to swing here. RSI breaking above the SMA. That was another thing we were watching for today. Was it going to retest and break down? Remember, this EMA is still trending lower, so that is a bearish indicator. Usually that means there's going to be some kind of rejection and then a continuation below the SMA. So we'll see how that plays. Waiting for that to happen. Right now, price action is slightly bullish. And then similarly here on Alphabet, coming off that 200 SMA test, got another candle up to the trend. If it can push above the trend and hold, you could argue low, higher low potentially. Momentum not great, RSI still not great, but price action is trying to recoup some of those gains. Will it get above the trend? Remains to be seen. Moving over to oil and gas and technology. Oil and gas hit the level at 140.88. Strong candle there, 1.11%. Momentum not really going with it. RSI still bullish. Now we're at resistance, waiting to see if we can get above it and push to the next level, or is it going to reject from here like it did last time, push back all the way down to the 55 EMA? That's around the 135.78 level. So resistance, still bullish structure on oil. Technology, slightly bullish, but not a whole lot. Momentum and RSI, really no change from yesterday. Moving over to RIOT and Marathon, you can see these both had strong candles, so we got the continuation off that 9 EMA. Pushing towards the level here, this is still a bullish structure. It has been for a while. We got a good continuation here today. I think it's going to go. And then looking at Mara, similar move, but not as strong. It's back into this kind of consolidation range. Want to see it get above that 55 EMA the way that RIOT is. RIOT looks better, at least in the short term, but both of them look okay, holding this base, waiting for that clear swing. RIOT seems to be doing it at least a little bit sooner. Moving over to Breadth, the interesting thing here with Breadth is that we did get a negative day despite markets being generally up. So we did break the level back again here, 51.75. So this is a breakdown, retest, breakdown now. So that's a little bit concerning. Probably going to have a little bit more downside to it. Markets haven't really gone down with Breadth yet, but eventually Breadth will start to weigh on markets in my opinion. So far, not having a huge impact. Moving over to volatility, you can see volatility continues to trend a little bit lower, but very minimal moves here. Still well above that 20 level at 20.45. Again, still holding support. Did break this initial trend, still holding that 20 level. And you can see the 9 EMA is very close there as well at 20.47. Technically broken, but very, very close. Momentum fading, still above the RSI SMA here. So we'll see how it plays, but right now this looks like a pullback. Kind of a bull flag, honestly, and then we'll see if we can get that break or if it's going to actually kind of continue and accelerate to the downside like this move here. Moving over to my accounts, I made about $100 on the day. It says I made a little bit more, but I think the way that the numbers worked out, I ended up basically flat here, up about $100. You can see it does fluctuate a little bit, even with the after hours pricing. In terms of positions, I rolled out here really aggressively on the IWM with that big up move. I think we'll get some continuation there, up to 220 for a $1.40 credit. So I'm still in the money, still giving myself just a little bit of room for the Monday session. Big up move could give you a big down move to follow, so I didn't want to get too aggressive. Wanted to stay in the money, and I can still flex if we push into the Monday, Tuesday. And then the Qs flat on the day, down just a smidgen here on the shares, and then you can see on the call position made that $150, continuing to cover those losses and make money on that side. As long as this is in the money, going to be good to go. Still pretty deep in the money at 486, so if the Qs fall about 1.5%, I'll still be in good shape. I can collect that credit. Either way, good shape here on the Qs. Didn't move anything for the Monday session, and overall not a bad week. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of Tesla's Cyber Day and the RoboTaxi news. Was it everything you thought it'd be, or was it as disappointing as markets thought that it was? Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.